9th August 1945. It was a rather well-known day. Did you know that the weather was actually clear on that day? Well, a lot of people may not exactly recognize this date the second I say it, but it was basically the day on which Nagasaki was bombed in Japan. Now, I always found the Nagasaki bombing a bit more tragic than the Hiroshima bombing for two main reasons. The first one being that the Hiroshima bombing was proof of how bad an atomic bomb could be. It was proof that the Americans had power, and it was proof that the Americans knew how much damage these things could do in an actual city. What was saddening about the Nagasaki bombing was not just that the people who were bombing, the USA, decided to proceed to go with another bombing, but also the fact that the Japanese did not surrender despite knowing how dangerous their enemy was. It was a huge risky move. Now, the reason why I mostly feel that this was terrible is simple. Imagine if you are a Japanese civilian during this time. The Hiroshima city is just around 1,000 kilometers from where you are, or a bit more, and you hear about this bombing and you hear about how terrible it has been, about how people have died within a few seconds from the bomb blast. And you know that this is a terrible thing, and you know that this war is going to a place where you never thought it would go. You know that your enemy is so much more dangerous than they used to be. But the worst part is that you wish that your country would surrender, but they say no. They say they're going to keep fighting. And that is the part where everything starts breaking through. It is the part where you start worrying that maybe the side at which you are in the war is probably the side which is going to get you killed. And for the next 2 days, every single time you hear the sound of an airplane, you look up and you worry that it might be another B-29 wanting to drop a bomb on you. And right when you're about to get over this paranoia, thinking that probably this nuclear bomb was just a trump card which can't be repeated again, on the third day, a B-29 pops over your head. You see your kids in the yard playing, all happy about how happy their life is, because these kids do not understand the war circumstance they are into. You have lied and brought them up so they will never have to remember the trauma. You see how green the place was. You see how beautiful this place is. You realize there's a dock, a mountain, that you've picked the perfect place to move into, even at a crucial time, all simply because you wanted your family to be happy. You're ready. You're not ready. You're not ready for the nuclear bomb. And you just see this B-29, and the first thought in your mind is, you pray that it's not another nuclear bomb. The B-29 leaves your sight, and you're probably a bit happy that it's not in your city. But then, within the next 10 seconds or 1 minute, all of a sudden there's nothing but a flash. You feel your skin searing away. You feel a lot of burning sensations, but you don't really get to experience the whole of it, because before you know it, all that you know is darkness. You're gone, your soul is gone, everything's stripped away from your body. All sensations, everything. Now, the reason why I particularly get sentimental about the Nagasaki incident is because it was not just a betrayal to humanity. We not just took our rage upon the civilians to end the war, but it was a huge betrayal towards science itself. Science did not invent nuclear fission for one side to prove their power or for one side to win. It found nuclear fission for positive purposes. It was just a phenomena. It is something which is being used for nuclear generation right now, but it was essentially just a phenomena. No one expected them to take this and make it into a bomb which they would drop on someone's head to show how powerful they are. It was a betrayal to science, because what was supposed to be helping thousands of lives was used to take down more than 200,000 lives. In fact, the whole Hiroshima and Nagasaki took more than 400,000 lives or 300,000 lives. My math might be a bit inaccurate. We didn't really have enough dead bodies to count. A few of them were actually disintegrated on the spot. It was that bad. It was a huge betrayal to science on that part. And the main question which I want all of you to ask yourself right now is, was this nuclear bombing carried out because one side wanted to win, or did it happen because they wanted the war to get over? It is really something to think about, because remember that history books were written by the winning side. They can twist the truth, make you see a different thing, but it does not change the fact that 2 nuclear bombs were not necessary. You know why? Because they had planned 4 nuclear bombs. They had 4 nuclear bombs planned in 4 different cities. Cities, not even places next to rivers, not even places which were supposed villages. They were planned in cities where they knew that they could take lots of lives. 4 bombs were thought of, and the plans were never scrapped. They were planned to be bombed day after day until the Japanese government finally surrendered. And I find that a really, really inhumane, a bad act towards human decency, and a huge betrayal to what science was meant for and what science stood for. And I'm pretty sure that every scientist would probably stand up to it, except for those who believe that the nuclear bomb was the biggest breakthrough in weaponization history. And I have to agree with that. I mean, it was a huge breakthrough. In fact, right now, arms race is being compared to the amount of nuclear weaponizations which we have. And people who establish military superpower mainly just sashay with all the nuclear weapons assured with this. Why do we need nuclear weapons in this age right now? We know the amount of damage that they can do. We know the amount of ramifications which they have. We know that the damage which they do is not similar to an incendiary bomb. It's not something which is just going to last for one generation or for that moment alone. It's going to keep passing generation after generation in a half cycle kind of pattern. And yet, we're still having an arms race, nuclear weaponizations, yada yada yada. It really isn't worth it. This isn't how technology was supposed to evolve. This isn't how weaponization was supposed to carry. It really isn't fair towards science. It really is not fair towards war. It really is more of a way of passive aggressiveness and asking people to shut the heck up because they don't want to deal with your bombs, rather than actual true form of dominance, actual true form of political unity, a form of peace. And that's what I wanted to tell you guys. Just think for a second on what war actually means, what science actually means, what destruction actually means, and also about how we are the only species which results in a complete mass destruction to show our dominance. Ants have fights, but the fights are limited to a few life costs. But humans? No. You're supposed to be the most evolved beings, and yet the acts which we do are no more worse than the acts of ones which are not evolved at all, probably even worse. Thank you.